So my buddy Nez is joining me today. We're gonna be talking about Friday the 13th because, of course, today is Friday the 13th. And just like me, Nez, you're a big Friday the 13th fan, right?
Yes, I am. Hey, and thank you for letting me come on the show. And it was awesome that you came on mine a while back. But Friday the 13th came into my life from the very beginning in 1980. My brother saw it the weekend it opened, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, ruined the whole thing for me. So I was just like, okay. I was 9 years old at the time, and it sounded good. And then when we got home, I said, "Well, can you take me to go see it?" And he was like, "Yeah." So we went and saw it. It was actually a double feature. It was Friday the 13th and this movie called Prophecy. I think it was like 78, 79 when that one was. So I was like, all right, cool. We just saw the end of Prophecy. I'd seen it before. And then Friday the 13th came on. And I'm just sitting there watching it. Kind of remember as things are happening on the screen, I kind of remember what's going on. But he didn't tell me who the killer was.
Oh,
So
good.
so
Good.
I was kind of like, okay, okay. And as it went on, being the little 9 year old guy that I was times where I was watching it like through the cracks of my hand, in front of my face, or I would kind of like just close my eyes a little bit and I can just see the bottom of the screen because to me it was scary. I've been a horror fan since I was really little. The first movie I'd seen was Night of the Living Dead, and then that kind of
Nice.
opened up the door to horror films for me. So I'd seen the ones of the 70s. I mean, and there was a slasher here and there, but I mean, actually, to me, the slasher craze didn't really kick off into the 80s. So I was kind of like, okay. I mean, you see the awesome effects, the practical effects of the 70s, and then in the beginning of the 80s with this one. So it was all just like, oh my God, man, this girl just got her throat slit, and this arrow came through this guy's throat, and I was just like, oh my God, I was so amazed at what I was seeing on the screen, and the fear that was going through me as a little kid, like I was dreading about going to sleep. Like me and my brother, I mean, we were pretty close, but he's the type of guy that wouldn't. Can I like sleep with you tonight? Because we were in the same room and we were on bunk beds, but my brother was pretty tough, so I knew I would have felt safer laying in his bed with him. But now that didn't happen. Uh, but but I mean, the movie come go boom over with, and I'd seen it, and I was like, oh my God, I just couldn't believe what I had seen. Had no idea at this point that this was going to be my favorite horror film of all time and favorite slasher, and had no idea that there was going to be it was going to turn into this huge franchise that people know today and this iconic character. Well, in the first one, I mean, Jason's in it, but he's not the hockey mask, machete axe
Right.
wielding killer. So I was like, all right, cool. But I mean, what I loved about this, even at a young age, I was thinking this is a film that can happen. I mean, it's just basically a mother getting revenge on a camp that wasn't watching her son. And so I was like, okay, because they really didn't go into um, Jason's like his little background that we all know today with the deformities of his face
Right.
and him being, I assumed he was Down syndrome or just some special handicap. So I mean, really didn't go into that. Yes, we see his face at the end of the film, but then we're still kind of like, well, whoa, what happened to him? So it was just like, okay. I mean, I could see that as a kid, and then just being like, oh my God, this poor woman, this is what happened, and she lost her son, and she just went nuts, snapped, and started doing all these crazy things that they were mentioning in the film. Then flash forwarding into the next year, 81, when we get Friday the 13th Part 2. I actually lived right around the corner from a movie theater. It was the Parkway Theater on Park Boulevard in Oakland, and
Ah,
the theater is still there, but it's not open. I mean, if I for some reason won Powerball like this weekend, I would buy that theater and open it up and show nothing but action and horror films and
yeah.
things that I love and a lot of people love from back in the days. So and I remember because I stood the bus stop was right pretty much right in front of the theater, so I'd stand there and look at the posters, and back in those days, this was kind of towards the end of the lobby cards that they used to put under the posters. They'd have
Right.
the poster for the film, and then they had lobby cards, like two or three of them, depending on them. But so I would be looking at pictures and looking at the poster, but then I'm sitting there thinking, well, who's the killer? I mean, this lady got her head cut off, and I didn't know. I mean, yeah, we saw Jason jump out of the water at the end, but I was like, that was like far from my mind. Like, is it him? I didn't know. So I mean, I see that film and like, oh my god! I mean, it was just more killing, and now we see it's Jay. We are told it's Jason right from the get go, and this is when he has the little. People say it's a gunny sack or a burlap sack. It's a pillowcase. I mean, come on, everyone.
Yeah.
It's clearly a pillowcase.
And it's so creepy too. He's so scary in part two.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I mean, it was really simple. It wasn't nothing to it. I mean, if you flash forward to 2009, when we get that Jason in the beginning, when he's got the actual burlap sack over his head, but it looks like more of a wrap,
Right.
and then with just turning into a huge franchise, we start getting the action figures, and then NECA starts doing stuff, and Funko Pop even has a Jason
Yeah.
from part two. And speaking of that, I'm such a huge Friday the 13th fan. I do have my Funko Pop Jason, which was an exclusive to Walgreens from part two. And
Oh yeah, I got that one too.
he's right
Yeah.
here on my desk in front of me, as well as the 8-bit Jason from Nintendo video game.
Oh yeah, that one's sick. I have that one. I'm right there with you, man. Why don't we give a couple of honorable mentions until and then we can get into our top 10. So for you, what is an honorable mention kill from the Friday the 13th franchise?
I would have to say, um, geez, what's Crispin Glover in the final
Yeah.
chapter? All I'm thinking of is McFly, George McFly, but I can't remember his name. Teddy was his buddy's name, but
Yeah.
you guys know who Crispin Glover is. Other than his awesome dance moves he did earlier in the film, but his he got like double whammy with that one, and just when he's looking for the corkscrew because he just finished getting laid. And he wanted to celebrate with Teddy, so he's like, "Hey Ted, where's a corkscrew?" As Jason just slams it into his hand, and he spins around, and the awesome reverse effect, if you guys know, of him getting the cleaver to the face. It's just
Yeah.
it was just so awesome, and it's so fast. Seeing that a million times, but I didn't realize that that's what they did. How they did that effect. They filmed it backwards, basically stuck that on him because it's got the outline of his face on the cleaver, and then pulling it away and then just rewinding it or playing it forward. So I thought that was really cool, man, and I loved it because it's just a lot of those good kills are like really fast. It's like just
Yeah.
boom, 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 and then you're on seconds, and then you're on to the next scene. So that was one I thought about. That was the first one that popped into my head when I was sitting there thinking about some of my favorite ones, but it didn't. It just didn't make the list. I mean, nothing against Crispin Glover. He's an awesome actor, and yeah, he's kind of an eccentric guy. So, but
And the computer says you're a dead fuck.
yeah. So,
Computer don't lie.
oh my God. Yeah, I mean, chapter four. I mean, final chapter is such an amazing film, and that kill is awesome. There's other awesome kills in it as well, but that's probably my favorite one in that one.
Speaking of the final chapter, my honorable mention is also from that film. It's the opening kill of Axel when Jason wakes up at the mortuary, and it's just such a gnarly kill. He freaking slices his throat open and then just breaks his neck, turns it completely around. And it's just such a brutal kill. And it sets the tone for the rest of the film and the kind of carnage we're going to be seeing. Like, Jason in this film is just a beast, and the kills in that are just glorious. Now that we've gotten through our honorable mentions, let's go ahead and get into our top 10 list. So, what we've done is Nez has picked out his top five, and I picked out my top five. And these are top five kills from the Friday the 13th franchise. So, we're going to start with Nez. Why don't you give us your number five pick?
My first one, my number five actually, is gonna be from Friday 13th Part Two. Uh, Poor Mark, the guy in the wheelchair. When he came onto the screen, my buddy was sitting next to me, and pretty much at the same time went, "Oh man, he's got no chance." I mean, I mean, I just, not to feel sorry that he was in a wheelchair, but it was just like, come on, man, uh, he's not going to get far. So, but man, I mean, I love the kills when they get the double whammies, not just you get your throat or hit in the face with something and you fall over. Not only did he get hit in the face with the backside of the machete, I mean, these are things after you see these films over and over, you start to catch everything. You can clearly see that the back of the machete hit him in the face, but it was still awesome. I mean, you knew it was coming. I just loved the camera work right before that kill because you see Mark sitting in his wheelchair. It's raining, cats and dogs, and he's kind of looking around. He's waiting for his girlfriend to come back, or the girl he was just about to hook up with.
Yeah, poor Mark.
Yeah, and so he was getting ready to get his, and then he got his from Jason. He gets hit in the face with the machete. Awesome makeup effects as well. He goes backwards and just for I don't know if they did something to the wheelchair to keep it up to keep it from flipping, but I thought it was an amazing scene. Him going backwards down all those stairs, and I just love the end of that scene how it just fades to white. But
Yeah.
I just felt so sorry for him. Like I said, when he first pops up on the screen, here's this guy in a wheelchair, and I'm like, oh my god. But there's other awesome kills in part two, but to me, that was my favorite one in that film.
Oh my God. As you were explaining it, I could see it in my head, and it just makes me laugh every time because it's the part where he rolls down all the steps. Like, oh my God, really?
And that was one. I mean, I assume he spun around because he was facing like he would have rolled down the stairs like going forward, but getting hit in the face, I guess the momentum of the machete spun him around, then he rolled backwards.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's an awesome kill, man. And my number five is one where it's actually a post-coital kill. Uh, and it's from Friday the 13th Part 5, The New Beginning. It's actually not Jason, it's Roy who kills him. But Roy puts in some freaking work in Friday the 13th Part 5. And so Eddie is coming back to go and check up on his girlfriend Tina after they just finished banging, and it turns out she got killed with a pair of garden shears. And when he sees her, he runs backwards and he goes up against a tree, and that's when Roy comes up behind him, puts this like belt strap around his head over his eyes, and loops it in with this big piece of wood and just cracks his skull with it. And you can hear everything breaking in his head. You get the shot of like the front of his face with the belt over his eyes, blood is going everywhere, and he's screaming. And then you just hear, the final crunch and Roy letting go. And it's just it looks like such a painful way to go. And Roy is just taking his time with this guy. It's pretty messed up, but a awesome, awesome kill.
Yeah, what I like about that one, yeah, I mean, it's not just a boom, you're hitting the head and you're dead. No, man, he felt every second of that. That which I really love the special effects in that. How that that leather strap just like it starts digging into his
Yeah.
face, and the blood's just you can see it, the swelling around his eyes and everything, and to hear that skull, basically the bridge of his nose, just crunch in. And I'm sure you've noticed it, but for some of you that didn't notice it, you see Roy turning the the wood that he has on the strap. I think it was either clockwise or counterclockwise.
Right.
And then when the camera kind of goes away and then goes back, he's turning it the other way. It's I things you catch after watching these movies
Yeah.
over and over and over again. But I mean, regardless way, I'm sure he felt all that and just, oh my God, man, just, I mean, even Tina getting hers, man,
Oh
just
yeah.
obviously paying homage to also another summer camps last year, The Burning, which I
Yes.
love. I love that film. Awesome effects by Tom Savini in that one.
So underrated.
I know, man. There's some people that just don't like one. I mean, I think it was right after Friday the 13th. Anything dealing with summer camp, oh, it's a Friday the 13th ripoff. I mean, come on, man. It was different,
Yeah.
totally different characters, but it's still an awesome film. I'm glad they never made more. It was just that one, but
Yeah.
yeah, that kill. Oh man. Oh, I wouldn't want to feel that.
Yeah, fuck that, man. I'm good. That's a hard pass.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Um,
kill me, man, I'd rather just get it over with and one and done.
so we're gonna get into our number four pick. So Nez, what is your number four favorite kill?
All right, I am going to Jason X. I know some people just did not like this film at all. Uh, I was actually kind of like, really? But after I saw it, it totally changed my mind. I love this film. This film
Yeah,
is awesome. I think her name was Adrian or Adrienne.
right. I
Uh,
think so.
she was the scientist. They're pretty much all scientists in this, but she was the one that was doing the well, started the autopsy on Jason after they brought him onto the ship from being frozen. And Jason comes back to life, and for some reason, there's this whole sink full of like that acid that not acid.
A
What's
liquid
that?
nitrogen.
Yeah, the liquid nitrogen. I was like, okay. I can okay. You have a little vial or a little bowl of it. Yeah, fine. But a full sink of it.
You
So
never
I'm
know
like,
when you might need
yeah. So that obviously came in handy for Jason. But he grabs her face and just shoves it in it, and which was awesome effect, and like underwater camera shot of her screaming, her face just instantly freezing, brings her up. It's all frosty, and then just slams her face onto the table as her face just shatters. Like her whole face is gone, chin, everything, and it just maybe to the little bit of her chest, and then just throws her down and walks away.
it.
There's plenty of other awesome kills in that film, but that one just took the cake for me. I was like, all right, this movie can be over right now. Because there's no way that he's gonna top that kill, and I just love it. I can watch that just that one scene. I can watch that scene over and over again, and just love every time. It's like I seen it the very first time. Because when I saw it, I think there was like me and like a couple other guys in the theater. It was almost at the end of its run, so there was hardly anybody in the theater. But I, as well as a couple other guys, just threw their hands up and just started laughing and yeah. Oh my God. I love that scene.
Yeah, that is such an awesome kill. I love the underwater shot. And oh man, it makes me think of in Demolition Man where Stallone freezes Wesley Snipes and he shatters him. Do you remember that where he just goes into a bunch of little pieces? That's what that made me think of too when I saw this movie for the very first time.
I just recently watched Demolition Man. Yeah, I totally remember that scene.
So my number 4 is from Friday the 13th, part 7, and this is the sleeping bag kill, which originally I think he hit her against the tree like 7 times or 8 times, something like that. But this was when the ratings board was all over horror films, especially slashers, and they just completely cut the hell out of this movie. So a lot of the kills, they are really neutered compared to the other films in the franchise. And this was one of them. But I feel like it actually works better by him just hitting her against the tree once, because then it's like you just see how much of a powerhouse he is. Just drags her out of her tent and hits her up against the tree. And, just seeing how he's able to just pick her up, slam her against the tree, and that's it. Like, ah, Jason just freaking dominating.
Awesome scene. I mean, that one was yeah. I mean, you got to have a lot of strength
Yeah.
to pick up anybody. I mean, even you probably have trouble picking up a little kid in a sleeping bag, but much less to pick up a grown person and then whew, slam him as hard as you can, hard enough to kill him with one slam into a tree. But that was another kill, sitting there in the theater and just dying laughing. I think by this point of the franchise, you just wanted to see all the different kills. I mean, I don't ever remember being scared.
Yeah.
Um, I think from part 6 on, I wasn't scared anymore. The other ones, I mean, even up to part 5, A New Beginning, I was like, okay, I was a little worried about what was coming around the corners, but I mean, yeah, but it just got funnier and funnier, and you wanted to see the many different ways Jason was going to kill someone, and that one was just oh my god, that was hilarious. I love how they went back and did it again in Jason X when he went into
Yes.
that virtual world. In that scene, he was doing it over and over and over again.
Well, he was slamming one into the other, and they kept giggling while it was.
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna have to watch Jason X after we finish recording tonight,
yeah.
because
I want to sit down and watch them all again. But
oh man. Well, now we're gonna get into our top 3. So, Nez, what is your third favorite kill?
yes, I'm going to Friday the 13th reboot, remake, whatever you guys want to call it. The 2009 version, where Jason is played by Derek Mears. Awesome gentleman. He was really cool. I met him once. And it's the scene. They're outside that big house where they were partying at that rich kid's house. The black gentleman Lawrence, he went outside because he wanted to help his buddy because the Asian guy, I can't remember his name, he got
Chewy.
killed. Yeah, he went to go see to make sure he was all right and found out he's dead, and then so he comes running out because Jason is chasing him. But there's other awesome kills in this film, but with that one, I just loved how Derek Mears did it. I mean, other than he's this big, huge, tall dude, and he looks awesome, but his style, he throws. I don't know if you guys ever watched those tough woodsman contests or whatever when they're trying to cut down trees as fast as they can, or throw hatchets into wood stumps. But it's those double sided hatchet. He does it. I don't know if he knew how to do this or someone showed him how to do it, but the way his form was with that axe, He was at much less running and then bringing it both hands on the axe handle and then just throwing it and it just going through the air and wham, it gets him right in the back and he just goes down and he starts screaming. I mean, you like felt it. Like because I was sitting there and as soon as they hit him in the back, I like sat up and like arched my back like, oh my God. And then Jason walking up onto him, picking it up by the handle, flipping him over, and then just pushing his body down to where the hatchet blade comes shooting out of his chest. I just thought that was such an awesome kill. I mean, what I love most is how he was running and through that hatchet, and it was just the sound of it was awesome, and I love
Yeah.
that kill.
And I feel like the Friday the 13th remake gets a lot more hate than I think is warranted. Derek Mears kills it. Like he's such a good Jason, and there are some really good kills in that film, and that's definitely one of them. I mean, and he's just toying with them too. Like he's trying to lure the rest of the friends out of the house to help him, and it's just oof, that is a frightening Jason. My number three pick is from Friday the 13th, Part 6. And this is near the end of the film where the sheriff is basically he's been trying to take down Jason. Jason hears the sheriff's daughter like yelling for her dad, and the sheriff comes running out from behind the bushes and he's like, "No, not her." And he knocks Jason down. You think he's got the upper hand. He has like this big ass rock in his hand and he's just slamming it over Jason's head. And then when he's about to slam him again with the rock, Jason grabs his arm and then folds the sheriff in half. And he's like a freaking pretzel. And it was just like when that happened, when I saw it for the very first time, number one, I was like, oh shit, you just bent him in half like a fucking pretzel. And then number two, I was like, okay, how did they do that? Because that is freaking awesome. And he was also one of those characters that grew on me throughout the film where at first it was like, ah, this guy's kind of a dick. But then as the movie progressed, you could see why he was acting that way, and he wasn't a bad guy. So when he gets killed, it's extra like, damn, that sucks. He was actually a really good character. And also CJ Graham as Jason. I mean, he's one of my favorite Jasons. I have a tattoo of him on my leg, and it's just like that Jason is just he's so unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, when part 6 came out, um me and a bunch of my friends, we went and seen it opening weekend, and I was just like, well, first, I mean, first question where before the film thought starts, like, well, he's dead, and how they bringing him back to life, and the whole Frankenstein way, which I loved. I mean, I thought Tom
Yeah.
McLaughlin did an amazing job. I mean, you could see the love that he has for the old like Frankenstein films, and then this is when Zombie Jason comes into play. But I just thought it was awesome. C.J. Graham did an amazing job. But that your favorite kill in this, I love that scene as well. But the sound that his back makes when
Yeah.
Jason just folds him, just like every spine bone just breaking or crushing or whatever. Like I sound props to the sound effect guys that go and either make these sounds or just record sounds of this. But that sound was just so brutal. Everybody in the theater going, "Oh my god!" And I don't want to feel any of these pains when these people get killed. But that oh my god, that's another one. He didn't die right away. He felt every second of that as he
Oof.
was being bent in half.
Oh, like a freaking pretzel, like it was nothing. So, your number two pick, Nez. Let's go ahead and hear it.
All right, I am going back to the original. the 1980 version. Well, actually filmed in '79, but yeah, that's just me. Um, and I mean, that film had amazing kills throughout. Awesome special effects from the effects master Tom Savini. Seeing those effects back then when it was brand new was like, oh my god! But with the help of the digital technology and Blu-ray and all this, you can see how cheesy those effects look. I mean, just because they clean up the film digitally, and you can like you don't see the skin tones to the latex just don't match. I mean, it looked good on the big screen with in film, but yeah, digital and HD and all this stuff that kind of kills a lot of it. But like, anyway, regardless of that, um, my favorite kill in that one is the beheading of Mrs. Voorhees. Some people I was getting arguments sometimes with people. They go, "No, Pamela Voorhees. She was not Pamela Voorhees until the final chapter. She was just Mrs. Voorhees. That's how she introduced herself."
Right.
So, but when she got beheaded, I just thought that scene was awesome. Didn't see it coming. I knew she was gonna die because the music changed. The awesome score from oh, now his name is slipping my head.
Harry Manfredi.
Yeah, Harry Manfredini. His awesome sound and just the film work, the slow motion of Alice just picking up that machete and then just come run, Adrian King, I love you, just running full speed at the camera, and then seeing the late and great, uh, jeez,
Was it Betsy Palmer?
Betsy Palmer. So I'm sorry, everyone, it's late, but just seeing her look on her face like, oh fuck. Uh, you could see her like, oh, her mouth's open and she's in mid screen, and just Alice swinging that machete and her head just woof, getting whopped off. This my was probably like the first beheading I'd seen on the big screen. I think the first one that I can remember was from The Omen, when that sheet of glass cuts through that one photographer's head. I love that film. So
That is a
seeing
good
that,
one.
or even Betty Davis. I can't remember the name of the film, but when she cut that one lady's head off, but you didn't see it. You just saw the shadows on the wall. but seeing that scene was awesome, and then it's still all in just beautiful slow motion. Her hairy hands, which I did not notice until the documentaries came out.
Tom
of
Savini's hairy hands.
Yeah, and I mean, wasn't even like I wasn't focusing on her hand. I was focusing on where her head used to be, and it was just awesome. I mean, I just loved it. I mean, a little bit blood came squirting out. It didn't come shooting out like in some of these other films, but it was awesome. It was just an amazing scene and an amazing ending to this character in the film. Was obviously wasn't the end of the film, but it was just like, oh my god, like how are we gonna top that? Because obviously the film kept going. So, but I was just like, I was blown away. I can still remember seeing it the very first time, watching it throughout the years, over and over and over, never getting tired of it at all. But I can't remember which documentary I was watching. They made a ton of different Friday the 13th ones. My Name is Jason, that Crystal Lake Memories one, and then uh, everyone else and their mother that made a Friday the 13th documentary. But other than seeing Tom Savini's hairy hands and seeing the toothpicks that held the head on,
Right.
because they were saying, yeah, you can see the toothpicks. I didn't notice all that, but I just thought it was veins or bones or something. But
Right.
looking at looking at that now, I'm like, oh wow. But hey, man, you did what you did, and when they filmed this in '79, man, just the practical effects of everything in it. I mean, I just love that kill because that was just something that just stuck to me as a 9-year old watching that film. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to get to school and tell my friends what I just seen. So, and I love it. I mean, when I first showed my sons or my kids, they laughed at every kill. They weren't scared. They were like, "That looks so fake." I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys! You had to be there in '80 to appreciate
Oh
it."
man.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the beheading of Mrs. Voorhees, awesome. I love
Oh.
that.
And there's something to be said about watching these older films not in HD. Like I still watch a lot of horror films on VHS, and like for example, I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street on VHS, and even though I love watching it on HD, there's something about it on VHS that just adds to that magic of the film, where it's able to hide certain things, so you're not able to see, all the little defects in a specific prop or a practical effect. And that's the same thing with these Friday the 13th films. There was something about watching it on HBO, on, old TV back in the 80s, and, you're just watching it in that moment, and they're able to hide all of those effects because it's not, crystal clear. And that's part of the magic about some of these films is it's good to watch them with a little bit of that grain and having it have all of those things that are faulty in the film. And to piggyback on your kill from the first film, my number two pick is also from the first Friday the 13th film, and it's the Kevin Bacon kill. I think everyone knows that one. And it's he's laying in his bunk bed. He's about to smoke a joint, and all of a sudden, this blood starts dripping on him from the top bunk. And while he's distracted, he gets what looks like an arrow through the back of his goes to the back of his neck through the front of his neck, and you know, Mrs. Voorhees is down there. We don't know it's Mrs. Voorhees yet, but you could see whoever put it through is twisting it around, and blood is just gushing out of, the hole that's been made. And he's choking on his blood, and it's like the first time I saw that, that freaked me out. Where it was just like, oh my god, that is that's so fucked up. But watching it now, it's pretty cheesy. But man, watching that when I was a kid for the first time, that stuck with me. And it's a true testament to the amazing work that Tom Savini was doing at that time. And it was revolutionary for horror films and the slasher genre.
That scene is an amazing film or amazing scene and awesome effects, and that seems to be everyone's go-to when you talk about Friday the 13th. Of course I would have went there, but I mean, it's the beheading scene to me was so much more. But with that whole scene, I, going back really quick to see these film, if you any of you listeners out there, or even you, Des, if you get a chance to see these films on the screen, film the not some theaters just have those projectors or whatever they're to throw in a Blu-ray and it come up on the screen. But if you can see the actual film, I mean the grittiness of it, because of course the film is gonna age in time. You can't keep it the pristine of 1980 when this film came out. So there's going to be the cigarette burns and the scratch marks and everything in it. So, but I mean, it just looked awesome because I had seen this in the theater a few years ago. They had a screening and it was actual film, and it looked awesome. I just loved it because it you can't see the crystal clearness of like I said, the two different skin tones of the latex and the actual actor's skin. Or even with this scene dealing with Kevin Bacon, because you watch it now on Blu-ray, you can, like I said, you can see the two different the skin tone different colors. But then on VHS, I mean that's probably like one of the best ways to watch it, and film if you can't get a hold of it or find it in the theater somewhere. But it just looks so amazing, and what they did to to do that effect. I mean, just that scene alone. I'm gonna be 48 in a couple days, and that scene has stuck with me, and a fear of not just summer camps, but the fear of laying on a bed that I know that's not mine. I know no one can fit under my bed. That it's so small, so I don't have to worry about somebody sticking their hands and hitting. I don't like hanging my hands off the side of the bed. I don't like laying on the edge if I don't have to, because I'm thinking of this scene of somebody's hand coming up. Because, like I said, after I'd seen this film when I first seen it when I was a kid, sleeping in a bunk bed, of course, someone can easily reach up and grab me.
Yeah.
And also, he was in a bunk bed, and the blood that dropped onto him was oh geez, what's his name? Crazy.
Oh yeah, I can't remember his name.
This is not Teddy. Teddy was from part four, but anyway, that guy,
That one guy.
he
Yeah.
he was laying up top, with his throat slit, and that was the blood that dripped onto Kevin Bacon. So, but
Yeah.
yes, that scene is amazing. When the Killer Cut came out on, not Killer Cut, I think it was Uncut, for Blu-ray, I just saw Uncut Friday the 13th. I was like, oh my God, I have to have this. I bought it thinking there was going to be extra stuff in it, only extra seconds of that Kevin Bacon scene. You can go on YouTube and watch it now, but it was cool, man, because the blood, there was just more blood and just a few more seconds of that scene, which was amazing. I really love it. And Kevin Bacon, like, recently finally starts to embrace Friday the 13th within maybe the past few years, because for a while he just wouldn't didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what introduced him to me. So, but it was cool though, man. Yeah, now he's like, oh man, that was fun to film that film. But he said that the hardest thing was the position that he had to be under that bed, because you can clearly see that
Yeah.
that's not his chest and everything. But he's like on pretty much on his hands and knees, looking up, with just his head sticking through a hole in the bed. But what I also loved about that scene, I mean, seeing it for the first time when the blood just comes shooting out of his neck, um,
Yeah.
then watching these documentaries on how they did it, saying that the little bubbles that they squeezed to pump the blood, like, broke. So I can't remember which one of them. They said they just blew as hard as they could into that little tube, and that's why that so much blood came shooting out of them. So, but that
Which
was
works
awesome.
so great.
Oh no, it looks awesome, because I mean, I love the color of the blood. I mean, other than it's a dark scene, but it's not really bright.
Right.
So I love that. I mean, the bright blood. When I see bright blood on film, all I'm thinking about is the Italian horror, the Dario Argentos and the Bavas and all them. How their blood was like super bright red, but it works with their films. It doesn't work with Friday the 13th or anything. So, but that scene's awesome. I love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And now we're gonna get into our number one favorite kills of the Friday the 13th franchise. So Nez, hit us with it. What is your number one favorite Friday the 13th kill?
All right, I am going to 1989 to Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Awesome came back again for the second time, to put on the mask and enjoy, which was supposedly New York, but was Canada. But hey,
Yeah.
it's obviously cheaper
Jason
to
takes
shoot
a
up in
boat.
Canada. Yeah. This film, I love it. I didn't really care for it the very first time I'd seen it, but watching it over and over, this is the one when Jason turns into the teleporting Jason, and Crystal Lake leads into the Atlantic Ocean. So, but okay.
Logic.
um, yeah. Don't think about it. just turn it on and enjoy it. Um, but the scene, and there's also other awesome kills in this. If I have to throw an honorable mention, it was when that one rocker girl got killed down in the
Yeah.
boiler room, the engine room, when
Uh,
Jason kills her with the her guitar, which is never plugged into an amplifier, and she's rocking out as hard as she can. But anyway, that's
yeah.
yeah, that's the magic of movies. But Jules, Julius is what they were calling him, the black gentleman, the boxer of the kids. For they're already in Manhattan. They're hiding. Jason just happens to find them everywhere. But Jules is finally getting he's fed up. Like, I ain't gonna go out like no punk. I think he was like, to me, out of all the series, there's always been strong characters, but I think in this one, other than the main girl, she's obviously the strength of the film. But he didn't want to go out like no punk. He's like, I'm gonna go out my way, and so they're having this boxing match on top of an apartment building, and Jules is just giving everything he's got. He's just throwing combinations, body shots, millions of headshots, lefts, rights, uppercuts. Jason is just taking all that like a boss. You know, not even grunting, nothing, just going backwards, backwards, backwards till he's almost on the edge. And Jules is finally just, he's like so tired. You could see just sweating bullets and swinging and missing, panting, and he's like, all right, give me your best shot, motherfucker. And Jason just balls up his fist and bah, literally knocks Julius' block off. His head goes flying off the roof, bounces off something, and then basically rolls into a dumpster. And me screaming, I was like, oh my God, what did I just watch? And just laughing. I just like I said earlier, we go to see these films to see the many different ways Jason is gonna kill people. Yes, his people got hit with knives, machetes, axes, and spear guns, and but to punch somebody's head off, that's when you knew how the strength of Jason Voorhees. One punch, Jason. Oh, I love that scene. I just I could watch it over and over. And my son Kyle, this like I said, this was his favorite one. When he saw that, just to see the look on his face, the look in his eyes, and him just laughing hysterically and rewinding that scene over and over and over. I just like, damn. And when the movie was over, after we watched all of them, I said, what was your favorite kill? He went right to that one when he punched that black guy's head off. Oh my God, son, I love you. I love you to death, man. But I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was something you weren't expecting that. I mean, well, you weren't expecting this franchise to go that many films, or much less be in the city. So, but it was so awesome, man. I love that kill. I can, like I said, I can watch it over and over and over. But out of all the million ways Jason's killed people, he never did this. He never did it again, and it was awesome. I love it. That's gonna be my number one favorite kill from Jason, or in any of these Friday the 13th films. Awesome.
Oh man. Yeah, that is one that I can, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Jason Takes Manhattan, that kill is well worth watching it for. And like you said, seeing him hit his head off and then it falls into the dumpster and the dumpster closes on it, like that is fucking comedy gold. And then when everyone gets into the police car, his head is like sitting up on the dash and everyone just screams like, "Oh my god, this is fucking hilarious." That entire movie is just a complete shit show and I kind of love it for being a shit show. So my number one pick is from Friday the 13th, part four, so the final chapter. And it's going to be Jason, because this is the last time that we see Jason as a human being. After this film, we have the imposter, and then later on, he's resurrected as a zombie. So, this kill is at the end of the film where Tommy Jarvis, he's shaved all of his hair off and he's talking to Jason like he's Jason's younger self. And while Jason's distracted by Tommy's sister, he gets Jason's machete, just slams it into the side of his head, and then Jason falls forward and his head slides down the machete. Slowly slides down. Awesome effects by Tom Savini here. So slides down the machete, and at this time, we're like, okay, he's done. So Tommy Jarvis and his sister, they're giving each other a hug. And then you see Jason's hands start moving. So Tommy grabs the machete and just hits him over and over and over again and screaming, die, die, die. And that is just like that's how we end the movie is Tommy Jarvis just going to town on Jason. And I love this kill, and it's such an epic way for Jason to go out. And when they eventually bring him back, it's like, yeah, of course he's got to be a zombie because he was completely torn to shreds by Tommy Jarvis. So that is my number one favorite kill. It was so much fun talking Friday the 13th with you. And folks that are listening, be sure to check out his shows. He's an awesome guy. He has some awesome content. Show him some love. I'm going to leave some links down in the description below where you guys can go ahead and check out his awesome work. And I want to thank you all for coming back and listening to another episode of the Desmond's Flicks podcast. You can check me out on social media. I'm all over Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Desmond's Flicks. And be sure to go and check out my YouTube channel, Desmond's Flicks. I'm gonna have a video version of this podcast highlighting the kills portion of the show. So if you want to see some video with the kills and all their glory, check out the YouTube video. And I will see you all next week. Same spooky time, same spooky channel.